Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of our Women's History Month series. I'm Linsa, your host and product marketing manager with Nimblework. As always, at Nimblework, we believe in fostering diversity and inclusion, and Women's History Month provides the perfect platform to amplify the voices of those who are shattering glass ceilings every day. Today, we are thrilled to have Ashwini with us. Ashwini is a senior manager of product quality and presiding officer for Posh at Nimblework. With 22 years of IT experience, she's a passionate advocate for agile testing, continuous improvement, and gender equality in the workplace. Beyond her impressive technical background with a master's degree from BITS Pilani, Ashwini is a passionate advocate for women's health, well-being, and for creating a safe and inclusive work environment for all. Welcome, Ashwini.
Thanks.
Before we begin our discussion, I want to encourage active participation from everyone. Your questions, thoughts, and perspectives are invaluable. So please don't hesitate to share them throughout the session. Also, a quick note, the views shared today are based on our personal experiences and perspectives. A diversity of thought is to be welcomed and celebrated as we aim to foster inclusive dialogue. So today's discussion focuses on shattering the glass ceiling, breaking through barriers and biases. In this session, we'll dwell with the challenges women face in leadership positions within the tech industry, explore strategies for overcoming biases, and discuss the importance of mentorship and sponsorship in fostering career advancement. So Ashwini, let's start. So the first question that I have, historically, women were often excluded from leadership roles in technical fields. How can we learn from the women who defied those odds and championed strong project management practices?
Thanks, Linsa. Hello, everyone. And thank you, webinar team, for inviting me to speak today. As we celebrate Women's History Month, I am excited to share my experiences for Cause for Women. And let's hope it empowers a few of women leaders of next generation in our circle of influence. So it's a great question, Linsa, about historical women. So women have made a significant stride in breaking barriers and excelling in the leadership roles in various technical fields. And this is despite numerous challenges and systemic biases. It's always said individual contribution is simpler, whereas when you have to take people along as part of, let's say, project management teams, it becomes far more challenging. Whether it is team collaboration, adaptability, flexibility, understanding stakeholders' expectations, or risk assessment, informed decision making, and so on. All these activities under the umbrella of project management becomes far more inclusive, or you need to take along multiple people along with you. And in addition to that, if it's project management in technical field, it needs much more stronghold on foundational knowledge and subject matter expertise. So if you see the recent survey that was done by PMI, in the field of project management, it said male project managers outnumber female project managers, and that's in the ratio of 3:1. So given all these challenges, there are so many women who've made their mark. To name a few, Ada Lovelace, who was first programmer to write the algorithm along with Charles Babbage on his first analytical engine. Marissa Mayer, almost everyone knows about her. She was CEO of Yahoo and a prominent leader in technology. Debjani Ghosh is another best example. She is president to NASSCOM and has been instrumental in taking Indian IT on a global stage. Asya Watkins, I'm not sure if most of you have heard about her. Asya Watkins, she is a creator of Women of PM Community. It's a PMI affiliate work group for women project managers. If you look at all these women from past, they've got over discrimination, doubts, skepticism, and numerous other challenges and systemic biases, and they've excelled in their own field. These women who have played role and they've gone past all these biases, they've actually given us a blueprint for cultivating these ideas for the next generation.
Exactly, Ashwini. So, throughout history, women who pursued careers and leadership roles in technical field faced myriad of challenges and obstacles that were deeply rooted in the societal norms, cultural biases, and systematic barriers. Uh, Challenges such as limited access to STEM education, exclusion from professional networks, discrimination, and harassment. Although good news, we have made a significant progress compared to the past. I mean, thanks to all the struggles and triumphs of the women who came before us. Yeah. So, fast forwarding it to today, what do you think are the ongoing challenges women face in leading and participating in tech projects?
So the STEM education or technical field, or even the AI, ML, and the upcoming fields or technical fields in today's era, education-wise, I think education is very easily accessible today across the boundaries, and the best of the education platforms are online and very easily accessible. We find women participating thanks to all these women in the past, and then starts their professional journey. Unfortunately, there's a lot to be done on the professional front. So one of the important aspect that comes into play is not just for women employees, but I think it's more for the entire underrepresented group of people, like people from very diverse backgrounds. So consider any of your team, if you can remember any of the conversations, there are people who come from rural background. There are members who have some dialect. They have some regional accent. Some people are introvert. Some may not effectively communicate in English, or you find them technically good. You find them they are talented people, but somehow they have some other communication skill issue, given the kind of background that they may be coming from. So you find members in the team with eyebrow raised, or have some kind of an unwelcoming behavior or microaggressions taking over. And when such inconsistencies happen in workplace, it becomes far more detrimental for the person. And it's not just for the person, but definitely it also affects the team dynamics. Uh, Otherwise, I mean, in absence of such inconsistencies, the team would have been far more productive. But these kind of behaviors actually vitiate the environment and puts the team back. I think another important aspect that women face in a professional setup is the work-life balance. Now, work-life balance, this word is looked at from multiple different perspectives. The point I'm trying to highlight here is more from the part wherein, women have an unfair share of caregiving, or more responsibilities on the home front compared to the male counterpart. So what ends up happening is that because of this uneven load, even talented women, or women who want to pursue their careers, they get a setback because they're just not able to make it, given loads of problems on the personal front. One classic example is maternity break. So maternity break is looked at like a career setback. There are women who find it very difficult to get back to the mainstream careers after the maternity break. So it becomes like, are you able to build that trustworthy support system? um, are you able to delegate the course to the possible work groups that you can create around in your circles? So all these things really, if a woman is not able to put in place, she's going to get a setback. Now there's other side of the coin as well. Um, there are people who look at women from a stereotype perspective, like young passionate women who want to excel in their field. They want to take far more responsibility, rise on to the top of the ladder. They don't even get to forums where these projects or these opportunities are discussed, primarily because there are stereotypes who say whether she'll be able to travel, whether she'll be able to really get into these kind of meetings and negotiate well or put down her point correctly and so on. And women forget asking a woman, but they are not even invited to these forums. So there are these societal stereotype, they cast you in some bracket and say "Ki, nahi, nahi, it's not just possible." So there are those problems. Then comes the part wherein, young women, aspiring women, they don't find role models in the premises, or to whom they can look forward to and really take guidance from. Shortage of mentorship and sponsorship is another big problem. And I think the COVID years have added to the trouble because of the remote working environment. The in-person connect that was far more easily possible has become a big problem. But I think with hybrid working environment, situation is changing a bit. So those are kind of problems that women in today's professional environment face.
Yes, Ashwini, I believe all the points you mentioned about challenges faced by women, I mean, not just women, but rather all the underrepresented groups are there. And I think to curb this, strong leadership skills are required to overcome them. So talking about the skills, in project management, it requires a certain unique skill set. So how can women leverage their strengths of communication, organization, and relationship building to excel in leading projects?
Right. So I think women need to leverage their inherent strengths, and they can very easily excel in leading projects and driving successful outcomes. In some way, I think they can capitalize on their strengths for, let's say, ability to organize things well. If you look at project management setup as a whole, there's a lot to do in terms of right from initiation, planning, execution, and control, and so on. There are project plans, timelines, responsibility allocation, resource allocation, managing stakeholder commitments, managing risks, and so on. So there's a lot of information gathering over there, and it needs to be organized so that all the stakeholders remain informed on on the correct milestones and the timings. So there's a lot of documentation that also needs to be maintained. And because I think there's a natural ability to organize things well, women can definitely play a better role over here. Another good inherent skill that women have is ability to multitask. They often do that on the personal front. So, in fact, in a project management setup, that's all the way much more required when you have to juggle between multiple project tasks and manage priorities. And I think women can do that well because they have that eye for detail, and they ensure that they can juggle well without compromising on quality or deadlines. They ensure, and also the risk averse. So they ensure close attention to detail on the deliverables and the specifications and the standards. And I think they can put a better contingency plan in place. I think apart from these two attributes, another attribute that women generally have is about the emotional intelligence. So that actually helps the team feel at home, or the team members are in a better position to participate. Uh, because I think the women leaders can manage conflicting situations pretty well. And if there are challenges in the team, I think women leaders are much more empathetic. They have a listening ear, so team members are able to open up and have frank conversations to bring up problem points or things which needs better discussion. So I think they should bank upon the communication skill, lay out clear communication channels for project leaders, project team members, and stakeholders, articulate depending upon the various project goals and progress updates and so on. So taking all these attributes together, I think women can be far better project managers. Another important aspect that comes into play is about relationship building. They can foster a collaborative and an inclusive team environment. They can bring diverse perspectives and also ensure that they have a sound understanding of various expectations and requirements. So I think women can play a better role in getting all these cross-functional teams work together, and they can actually bring in a very cohesive environment.
Absolutely, Ashwini. All these points are spot on. But I think it is also essential to recognize that with all these superpowers that we have, there's also a risk of burnout. As women, we shouldn't feel pressurized to take on the role of a superwoman, carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. And I think it's crucial to prioritize self care, set boundaries, and ask for support whenever needed. So, in a recent research done by McKinsey on women in the workplace, it talks about the great breakup. So, record number of women leaders are leaving their jobs. And why is it happening? So, according to the study, everything boils down to the women feeling undervalued and underutilized. They are putting in the hard work, getting results, but still facing roadblocks. Despite all their efforts, women feel they're hitting a ceiling. So the question is, uh, and I mean, shattering the glass ceiling is a it is a continuous project. What steps can women take to become champions for themselves and other women in project management?
Yeah, it's absolutely said correctly. I'm sure, like the other day when we were discussing this McKinsey report, it actually revealed that 37% of women leaders had a co-worker who takes credit for their ideas, and that they were two times more likely to be mistaken for someone junior. So it's time for women to say, maybe let's bet on myself and break the ceiling or break from the place itself. So companies are really in a situation where, talented women leaders are leaving the organization for lack of inclusive environment. And in order to make sure that this percentage comes down, there are multiple different things that can be done. Now, for the women who are really affected, it's time for them to really put down a proper plan of action so that they can work on the problem areas and really shatter that glass ceiling. One of the best thing that can be done is about building strong professional networks. Actively seek out and connect with women in project management roles, whether it is within your organization or outside organization. Networking definitely works best. I mean, you get the support groups working for you. There are mentors who can guide you. If you look at various different problems we face in an organization setup, and I'm talking about, let's say, technical issues or technical challenges, when you have such support groups wherein you can just go and ask questions, you might find solutions to such problems. Many a time it so happens, that we feel that some problems are just unique to our setup. Whereas there can be some other organization implementing similar technology, they might have discovered some different way or some solution to problems like that. So it's always good to get into these networking groups, soundboard ideas with them, because there are both possibilities wherein you might be able to find the solution, or even in absence of finding a solution, when you soundboard ideas with people outside the boundaries, who are from the same technical field, you might just get a reflection back for your own ideas, and you might find solution to the problems that you are seeking. So it's always good to get into such kind of professional networks, and it definitely helps you get better mentors or better support system wherein your ideas will really find right channels. Another important aspect that women can work upon and women should work upon is about advocating for visibility and recognition. Easily said than done. It doesn't come inherently to talk about and brag about your things, but it's not just that. You want to make your achievements visible because it can help other young women leaders to look at that you can be possible mentors for them. Get into speaking and engagements. And I was really happy, Linsa, that you came up with this forum, and we are discussing about women cause and really talking about our experiences and how do we really empower young women, aspiring women to really come together and talk about common challenges. So I think forums like this definitely help create that sense of inclusiveness. Volunteer for different project groups, or volunteer for conferences, or volunteer for professional meetups and the groups outside the organization, because it may so happen that you may not have the right conviction to really start speaking or advocating about your own achievements, but volunteering is like you can silently contribute your good work and at the same time observe various other practitioners over there who are trying to bring in these kind of forums where people have a connect and they discuss about technical things. So that's definitely a good way of getting into various professional groups. Another important thing that can be very easily done within an organization setup is to form the internal peer groups or internal mentorship kind of things, because every woman can look for her what are the strengths and weaknesses. There are definitely certain gaps that she needs to work upon, and she needs to look at who in the organization can better help and guide and also set down some kind of a career path so that she can start working on, let's say, reskilling activities or finding right kind of blogs or proper educational site that she can really work upon the technical skills that she want to pursue. So mentorship and sponsorship definitely work well. Influential leaders in the organization can definitely sponsor for advancement of women colleague. At the same time, I think allies also work well in various different group. You might find that when you share your experiences, if you have the right kind of support group within the organization, it definitely helps women get over in inertia or inhibitions or shyness that she might be going through. And I think one of the most important aspect that any women employee needs to come to is just face it, accept it, that it's happening to you. If at all there are gender biases or discriminations, you have to someday face it and say, yes, it's happening to me. Most of the women today, they've gone through it, but they feel like no, it may not be really happening, or there's some kind of self-skepticism. But you have to face it once and for all and say to yourself that yes, it's your battle, no one else can stand for you, and you have to stand for yourself and befriend you. The you is what you need to stand for, and make sure that nobody else can step on you to do or feel or demean you. So be vigilant and raise the concern against gender bias or discrimination. I think being in the posh IC, we have seen enough examples wherein, many a times women keep quiet, or they have a lot of doubts whether things are really not working well. So it's important to channelize, because it can be detrimental for the career progress, but at the same time, uh, it can affect many other women also. If you keep quiet, then I think the group itself is entirely affected. You have to spell it out, talk to the right, there are escalation hierarchies in each organization. So challenge the gender bias and discrimination. So yeah.
Yeah. Well put, Ashwini. I couldn't agree more to all the points that you have mentioned. And it's clear that shattering the glass ceiling requires continuous effort. And especially women in project management can play a pivotal role in championing themselves and obviously for others. I I particularly liked what you said about creating spaces to discuss the critical topics. We need supportive environments and where not just women, anyone who wants to share their experience, they want to see guidance, we can collectively work towards breaking down the barriers. All right, so the last question. So looking ahead, how can companies foster a culture of innovation and leadership that celebrates diverse perspectives?
Right. So I think innovation as such, not just for women, but I think there are multiple different initiatives generally companies have that can channelize innovation. It's like setting up hackathons or dojos or internal meetups, leadership activities or team building workshops. I think those are things which can be very easily practiced. But I think in order to create more inclusive environments, it's essential to have proper policy and clear paths. I think companies can go ahead, put down proper channels, escalation hierarchies. Apart from that, because women have finding the right work-life balance in terms of fair share of caregiving on the personal front, I think when it some of the companies which are trying to do that, they put child care centers, or they provide guidance on how to set up a proper support system on the personal front. And very important one is to be vigilant about these unconscious biases. So companies need to put down proper policy code of conduct to make sure that these things are very properly handled. I think, see, one of the important thing, it's not just about individual women achieving success. It's about really creating a work environment where everyone has this opportunity to thrive, and they want to thrive based on the merit or potential. See, when a woman wants to really bring about this point that she is facing some kind of a behavior, it's not necessarily she's thinking that she wants someone else to be punished for it. I think it's about talking about dignity to work and dignity to bank upon my own potentials and give my best to the organization. And at the same time, she expects in reciprocation that I'm valued and I'm worth the work that I'm contributing for a larger success. But if again and again she comes across the glass ceiling, there will be a day where the patience and the limits are reached, and if not shattering the glass ceiling, then it's about betting on yourself and going further. That's how I think women are progressing today. And I think it's so very essential for organizations to take cognizance of it, because then you will get a diverse perspective. You can leverage the full human potential. There's enhanced creativity and innovation that a woman leader brings to table. There's better decision making and an improved organizational performance because the kind of empathy and creativity she puts into her work. So I think what we are really talking about is an equitable future. And if you look at today's era where we are talking about changing landscape, right? It's about, things are changing very fast. There's technology revolution happening every day. AI is like on every other webinar or every other conversation you're talking about AI, and a lot of things can be done very easily using AI. In this changing landscape, what is needed is truly those trustworthy employees who can help you really make use of best of the technologies and really take things forward. So I think we are talking about humanizing, and that's how even our products are, and as a company, our company culture talks about is truly humanizing and taking work ahead. So I think we are aligned in that manner. So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Ashwini. So we would start with the Q&A. So I would request all of you to post your questions in the chat box, please. So we already have one question, Ashwini. So the question is, can you see? Yeah. So sometimes women themselves can be their own worst enemies. Do you believe that today it is the women leaders, mothers, mother-in-law who believe women, once again, who believe women need to marry and focus on families, and other role models at work who have to play a bigger role to encourage younger women to focus on their careers and push their families to support them on their professional journey? Why depend on men to promote them?
I'll just read the question again.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. It's not about truly why depend on men to promote them. If you look at a diverse group, whether it is at home or I mean, it's like personal family, and what applies to personal family also applies to the professional family. I'll call it family because when we work together, it's you are not just working for just one deliverable. You put your heart at work. You are passionate about achieving that larger goal, and at that moment it's not just each person will be capable of bringing in all the best of the worlds. There are always, each person will have some sort of pros and cons, and what we are really trying to do on these family fronts is basically bank upon each other's pros and try and minimize the cons. So more than it's about qualities of a man versus qualities of a woman, or for that matter, not everybody is born intelligent, or not everybody is born with all excellent abilities or so. I think what we are trying to do is we are trying to foster better communication channels. We are trying to help each other achieve what they are passionate about. So when I say that there are members who come from diverse background, I think Warren once said, we are what we are is basically a representation of the group we get into, and it's always a question of ovarian lottery that you get, that makes you what you are, right? So not everyone is fortunate to get enough set of challenges that they get over and learn from adversities in life and really grow to the level they are. Or at times there are people who might get everything so easily that they don't understand how to really value people who have not got all those things. So we are not really talking about men or women, or we are not really talking about women of different nature in a family. What we are really talking about is how do we make up the best team, and how do we really help each other achieve our own things that really drives us.
Right. So it's actually about supporting one another, be it
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
male, female. It's at the end.
I hope these questions are like we can go on, and there's always some amount of uh, personal experiences and some diversity of things that one gets into and understands about various circumstances and say things.
Sure. So the next question, Ashwini. Should the leadership team or the whole team be responsible for fixing the glass ceiling for people who need more support, including women? Where does the accountability lie?
Great question. I think glass ceiling is something that not a single person really builds it. It's again it gets built within the culture of the organization, depending upon what are those non-negotiable points that a company might I mean, there's a value system there, and a company would definitely have certain things are non-negotiable part of the value system. Now when the glass ceiling gets built, it might get built not because there are 2 3 4 members, but there are others who allow them to really build that glass ceiling. Now when it comes to breaking the glass ceiling, there may be few of the women who are born tough, who are able to really fight back and make noise about it. There may be others who have gone through or who come from slightly different backgrounds, wherein they may not have the conviction to talk, they may not have um enough abilities to protest and really word the problems that they are facing. So I think the accountability lies from individual to teams to company or society as a whole, to accommodate these less fortunate people and include them and help them go ahead. So it's not just one person or just one a woman employee, but I think when we allow some women to get affected, like I said, it's not just that one person or one woman. They are part of the whole team. If even 1 or 2 people in our teams are affected, there's definitely going to be, let's say, in a company environment, there's going to be grapevine or some gossips going around here and there. It simply vitiates the environment. What otherwise the team would have done the best possible, delivered a best possible outcome, they start getting into some different conversations which just don't make a difference, but they definitely create a vitiated environment. So it's better to channelize and really have a proper escalation hierarchy where you voice them and break that glass ceiling and ensure that each person gets to thrive and contribute for the potential and the merit that they bring for the organization.
All right. So thank you so much, Ashwini, for sharing your insights and experience. To all the participants, thank you for joining in. We hope you found it enlightening and empowering. So don't forget to mark your calendars for the third episode in our webinar series. That is on 28th of March. And from all of us at Nimble Work, have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linsa.